Thank you very much. I was a young student studying nuclear physics when the disaster of Chernobyl happened, 1986. And I was deeply shocked. It wasn't that media coverage we had this year with Fukushima, but we heard about that and we saw news and we have been watching television and we heard about that in the newspapers. But I was shocked. I was deeply concerned about our future, and shortly after that I decided to study solar physics, which actually is safe nuclear physics. It just happens far away on our planet Sun, and it serves energy to this planet, and we can use it. And I went on in the university and I spent about 10 years in solar energy research, researching about solar technology, solar cooling, and solar air conditioning systems. But as a matter of fact, I was not too successful to implement these kind of systems, these kind of solar air conditioning systems. And the reason for that is that I learned that it's much more effective and important to make the buildings better, so that they have a reduced energy demand but give and provide a great comfort to the user. So that was the reason why I joined Transolar, and that's exactly what we do at Transolar. We try to make the built environment better. We try to build better buildings which create a better comfort for the people and have a reduced energy footprint. That's exactly what we do at Transolar. And we think that energy is important, but what really matters is the comfort. What really matters is the comfort we have in the building. Look at that room. In this room, you think, wow, it has been quite noisy, so that's acoustical comfort. That was not so good. There is air temperature. Sitting at the walls, you feel draft. You feel that the floor is cool. So there's a lot of parameters making up the comfort in that room. And actually, it doesn't matter if this room is heated by Russian gas, biomass, or solar power. It doesn't matter. It matters, and that's what is important, what the comfort is in that room. So that's why I want to talk today about high comfort instead of high energy. And coming back to that room, there are many aspects of comfort, and today with Catherine we learned how important is visual comfort, to have good daylight but also good artificial light. What else is important? This is acoustical comfort I just mentioned. Good fresh air quality. It's important that we have good fresh air so that you stay alive, stay awake, stay with me, can pay attention. That's important, that we have all that comfort around. But let me come to two things which I think it's interesting to share with you, which is about air temperature and radiant temperature. So I'd like to talk about the thermal comfort, that aspect of comfort. And in this room, it is important to understand, leaving all draft, cold floor, noise by the sides, that the air temperature is just making up for 50% of our comfort, for your comfort and for my comfort. Air temperature is just 50%, and the other 50% is the radiant environment, is the walls, which are cold at that moment, the floor, the ceiling. So the radiant exchange between our body and the walls around us. So you might think, whoa, if this is right what that gentleman is saying, so I have to control at least two parameters. In fact, it's more parameters, but if the others are okay, it's two parameters. But actually, we at Transolar think, no, it's not 2 times a problem, it's 2 times a choice. We can control air temperature, and we can control the radiant temperature, and controlling both, it's 2 times a choice to create a comfortable building. And that's key. Understanding comfort, understanding how to make comfort is key to build buildings which reduce less energy. I give you an example, and I apologize for that. I'm a physicist, so I use charts like that. And this is based on the pioneering research Professor Wolfgang has been doing, researching about comfort and describing all the parameters, putting that into a lot of equations. And at the end, he could predict, and we can do that today, the predicted percentage of dissatisfied people. Oh, Jesus. Predicted percentage of dissatisfied. That's not what we want. We want satisfied people. We want happy people. So I have a key for you. The happy face indicates where the happy people are. They find comfort, and they enjoy the comfort. Comfort means in the way that they don't want to change anything. They say, that's okay, I feel okay. And you see 40%, then 40% would be dissatisfied. So in a building, which let's assume a poor building in a hot environment, typically the walls would be warm, not at this building. Ceiling would be warm, the shading, probably the window would be warm. And to compensate for that warm, radiant environment, we would need cold air. That's a typical American way of air conditioning. You need cold air to compensate for warm walls. But what if you turn it around? Just imagine if we would build a better building, we would improve the building envelope, and we make a building envelope which is better in the way that it doesn't heat up the room, then we could use an air temperature which is much higher. We would create, and you see it's the same percentage of dissatisfied, or in other words, the same percentage of happy people by using warm air because we control and we have a better building. So from Transolar, from our point of view, that's key, understanding that and using that. And that's probably the background we have been using in most of our projects we did. Besides daylight comfort, besides fresh air comfort, besides acoustical comfort, talking and using the ways to integrate radiant comfort into our technologies is the central comfort idea, I think, in all the buildings we have been involved, and that's just some of them. I think you and me, as we are used to comfortable buildings, we spend most of our time indoors, but working with projects, we came more and more curious about, so what is the comfort in the space all around the buildings? What is the comfort in the streets? What is the comfort in this huge space which is outside our buildings? And we became curious to understand how is outdoor comfort working. For instance, you see that beautiful secret garden in Marrakesh, and you immediately understand that is a beautiful but also a comfortable space. People enjoy themselves sitting there. That's true. And we became curious to think and to understand, can we explain that? Can we explain how thermal mass, how natural ventilation, how shading against sun, how evapotranspiration by the trees creates that kind of comfort? Or another example, solar gains. We immediately understand that solar gains are useful to create comfort in this climate. But in other climates, solar gains might be the opposite. They are not appreciated. You don't want to have solar gains. So another factor or question of what is the best strategy in a warm environment, shading or air movement? Or what is a good combination out of both to create outdoor comfort, to increase comfort in the huge and large space we have all around the buildings? Or evaporative cooling. I was traveling in Asia because of projects we did, and I was always curious that I saw people using evaporative cooling technologies. Spraying water in a warm and humid environment. That doesn't make sense if you look and use the comfort equations we use for indoors. So I became curious with my team to think about, so can we explain that? And if we can explain that, can we use that to create comfort? And the last thing is sky cooling. Obvious and interesting cooling and the most efficient cooling source in the desert. So one of the biggest projects we have been the luck and the chance to work with is the Masdar project. Masdar calls itself the city of the future. Hopefully of our future. It's a city in Abu Dhabi, close to Abu Dhabi, and it's a city where in the climate of the Gulf region, which is mild in winter, but warm, humid, and extremely sunny in the summer, the client wanted to build a city with an excellent indoor air quality and excellent fresh air quality, providing excellent living and working conditions, and that on the basis of a zero carbon footprint design. And obviously, to think about a zero carbon footprint, which is not using any more fossils, using renewable energies, you need to question and to think our way of living and to think about a new way and a new style to live. And that has been a project of our team with Matthias, working with Fosters and partners on the master plan. And I had the chance to work with Lava architects, and Tobias gave a beautiful talk about that last year at the TED conference on the central plaza. The central plaza of the city. So imagine a city without people. That doesn't work. So we have been thinking we need to create a place inside the city which is so comfortable that people enjoy going to that central place in summer, instead of meeting in a chilled and cooled shopping mall. We wanted to create a place in the center of the city which is so comfortable that people go there. And yeah, by no surprise, a good strategy in that climate for summer is shading. And you see umbrellas, which we have been using for the shading. But very important is to take advantage of the sky cooling. So to release during the night heat to the sky. So that's why we developed that idea of umbrellas which open during the day to shade the place, to shade the plaza, and which close during the night so that the heat can be released to the sky. Here you see an image how that shading pattern looks like with the closed and with the opened umbrellas. But what is important, don't get confused. Just follow the two clouds, the two colors clouds. If you are not in a shaded environment, you have radiant temperatures up to 70 degrees. That's just super uncomfortable. That's extremely hot. People don't enjoy that. But if you increase, if you have a better shading during day and during night, what you see, you drop down radiant temperature during day. That's good. But you lift radiant temperature during night. And you do really good if you have both shading during day, open during the night. But what you see, it's probably the best what you can do by passive design. It's still not that comfortable what we wanted to deliver to the people. So we wanted to do better. We wanted to increase the day, the part of the day in the morning and in the afternoon when people can enjoy that plaza. So there is a demand for cooling, for air conditioning system. And the idea is, if you do that, you need energy. Use the energy you can harvest on your footprint. Use the energy which is available on your footprint. Don't borrow energy from your neighbor or from history, so from fossil. Use the energy you can harvest on your site, and that's why these umbrellas are covered with a photovoltaic system so that they can harvest solar energy during the daytime, which is then used to create comfort. And not the kind of comfort we want to have in the chilled and cooled shopping malls. No, it's the kind of comfort which is making that plaza better so that people like to go there, that people meet there, go with the kids, play, talk to your friends, and probably make a revolution. You need a place to make a revolution. I want to show you another example, another project we've been working on, which is the solar cooling project of the Qatar football bid 2022. We received a call, and the call was about, do you like to join us? Do you like to join the team of Albert Speer and Partner and Pro Project to make comfort in open stadiums? Wow, what a question. We're a green company, so why should we waste energy for cooling open stadium? But there is opportunity in that. And we had this discussion with our team. There's an opportunity in that. Let's ask the client if he likes to commit himself to use solar energy to do that. And the client committed himself to do that. And the idea we developed is to create a kind of comfort which should be better than in all these places we have been analyzing, to compare comfort in stadium, because there's no science, there's no knowledge about. We know about comfort in stadium, we know very little about that. So we said, let's compare that. Let's compare what happens, for instance, in Orlando. You see, it's not too warm from air temperature-wise, but it's extremely humid, and people have been sitting in the sun, so that was uncomfortable. That was a comfortable place. Athens, people have been sitting in the sun, the same as in Beijing. So we put and we overlay all the comfort ratings of the different venues of football championships and Olympic Games, we found that with Qatar, which is the blue circle on the right side, even with the best practice strategies applied, we are not that bad, but we are not that good. So we decided with the team, let's make it better. Make it better, increase the comfort so that we achieve a comfort which is so great that the football players can show the best performance, can show the best football. The spectators in 2022 will enjoy the games and say, wow, that's good. We enjoyed it, and we found good conditions, and we saw great football. So that was the objective. And again, the same strategy. Use your footprint, harvest energy, shade the 32 training pitches so that the teams can play and train on the sites, and harvest energy and produce the energy you need to cool and condition Qatar 2022 World Championship in football. And the good thing about that is the system will stay in place. And every day the sun will show up. And in 2023, we can deliver as a legacy the energy equivalent of cooling the stadiums back to the grid. And the next year again, and the next year again. So for the next 20 years, every year, we can deliver as a legacy the energy equivalent back to the grid. That was the idea from our side, climate engineering, for the Qatar 2022 bit. You might think, wow, that's super music of tomorrow, and that's future music, and yeah, you're right. But whatever happens in 2022, we don't know. But let me come back very quickly and show you what we can do at home. And this story is about electric energy, and it's a quick story. I use electric energy with my family. We are a family of 4 for TV, for radio, for appliances which make our life more comfortable, washing machine, dishwasher, refrigerator, and so on. And we need light. And I have bad eyes, I am using a lot of lights. And if you do that in an energy efficient way, it's something like 2,400 kilowatt hours in my family. And I'd like you to guess with me, to produce this amount of electric energy, how much square meters of PV panel do we use for that? Is that 10,000 square meters? Is that 1,000 square meters? Is that 100 square meters? Or is that just 10 square meters? I don't need that you raise your arms, but obviously that depends where you live. I live in Munich. There's more solar energy. It's a good place for solar energy, to harvest solar energy. And in Munich, that's 20 square meters. It's 20 square meters to produce the entire amount of a family, to compensate one family's energy demand of a year. It's just 20 square meters. And in 2011, this year, this is worth 5,000 euro. Wow, isn't that amazing? With this 20 square meters, you can do your own German Energiewende by yourself. And one last number. If I get another 20 square meters of PV panels and I power an electric car, how many kilometers could I drive by the energy equivalent of another 20 square meters? Is that 15 kilometers? Is that 150 kilometers? Or is that 1,500 kilometers? Or is that 15,000 kilometers? I drive with my family in the city of Munich roughly about 12 to 14,000 kilometers per year. And the answer again depends on, is it a big car, is it a small car? So assume a Golf, which is fine for 4 persons. Then the answer is, it's 15,000 kilometers. Amazing. Another 15,000 kilometers which you can drive if you get another panel of 20 square meters. Isn't that amazing? So next year when you get your electric car, it's 20 square meters which make you independent from gas. And for the next years. And you probably buy 2 electric cars before this system gets out of function. So I think we very often overestimate what we'll do in future, and we underestimate what we can do today. Thank you very much.